Guys, Khamzat Chimaev had to pull out, unfortunately, again from his March 13th date. Is this inactivity causing him to cool off just a little bit with the fans? Nick and I are going to talk about that right now. What's up, Barnhill family? Welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
Guys, if you're new here, we talk about all things combat sports. So if that's your bag, please consider subscribing to our channel. We really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
So, Nick, Khamzat Chimaev, Q3, Q4 2020 was all the buzz. He was getting more headlines than McGregor, if you can believe that.
Well.
He unfortunately got diagnosed with COVID-19 in December and apparently had a tough bout with it and is still dealing with some of the residual effects of the virus. He's not able to train quite as hard as he would like to. He's having problems with his breathing. And then I heard most recently that he was even hospitalized. And Dana White said they're going to be bringing him to Vegas to be treated by Doc Donovan, who's the top doctor for the UFC. So I guess first and foremost, we hope that Hamzat is okay. We know this is a serious thing for some people. Some people get the virus and they get right over it. For others, it is a serious thing, and it seems like it is for Hamzat. And they said that he's not really allowed himself time to recover. He's got that tenacity, which makes him a great fighter, but it also can be to his detriment in situations like this when, hey, go home and take 3 weeks off, sit on the couch and don't do anything. Those words don't resonate with somebody like Hamzat.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing for somebody that's a true competitor is to pull your oars out of the water completely and rest. I know how it feels. Sometimes you go crazy after you're spending countless hours in the gym. He even lives in the gym, but training twice a day, every day, your body gets used to that. And while it does beat you up and you feel tired at the end of every day and at the end of the week, you're just exhausted, but your body does get conditioned to feeling that. And when you have to just stop completely, it can not only drive your body crazy, but your mind starts to go crazy. Like, man, I feel like I'm getting passed up by the game. I feel like I could probably go do workouts. Even if I just go hit the treadmill or something, let me get my body moving. But when you're dealing with something like coronavirus, and I haven't had it yet, but when you're dealing with that, you can't risk it. And some people, it doesn't matter if you're the epitome of health, like somebody like Khamzat Chimaev, or if you're an older person or a younger person, it has a different effect on everybody.
Yeah.
And some people, even if you are a marathon runner or a UFC fighter, somebody who's in amazing shape, it can really take a toll on your health, and you have to just chill. So, he's certainly dealing with a tougher battle outside of the octagon than he will ever face inside the octagon. But I do believe that what he's doing right now is smart. Take some time. I think what he has is very special, and I don't think he's lost all of the steam yet. I think the Hamzat train, the hype train, is definitely still a real thing. People are still very excited to see him fight, and even though he had such a short wait time in between his last few fights, it kind of earned him a little bit of time to rest. And while it's not up to him to stop fighting and stuff like that, it's more nature just kind of playing its role. I feel like this is going to pay off for him in the long run. He's 9-0, and he came into the UFC at 6-0, and he got those 3 wins very quickly. But he seems like the kind of guy that's going to be here for a long time. So we don't need to, fast track him in the sense where we need to see him fight 10 times in the next 12 months. We can let this thing settle a little bit. And I still think the aura of invincibility and just the cool effect that he has on the sport will still remain.
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of a supply and demand thing. There was an immense demand for Khamzat Chimaev at the end of 2020, and he gave us all the supply we could handle.
Right.
And what that did was increase the demand even more.
Yeah.
And then the supply is cut off.
Yeah.
So actually, I believe now you can't wait too long. We just cut a video about Leon Edwards in 2 years and how that gets you out of the fans' minds. That's too long. But waiting just another couple months to get yourself healthy might be just what the doctor ordered, pun intended, for Khamzat Chimaev. Now, I think that, and you're absolutely right. You said you haven't had the virus. I actually personally have had it. Got diagnosed at the end of last year, took a full 2 weeks off. I didn't do anything. I quarantined, and I tried to get a lot of sleep, eat some soup, and take my vitamins. That was my only task for 2 weeks. And then when I got over it, I took another full week of just walking, getting myself kind of back to moving again after I tested negative. And it wasn't until almost 3 weeks later after the initial diagnosis that I went into a gym and tried to train again.
Yeah.
And as you remember, I was training with you. I said, I can do it. I can do everything, but my cardiovascular output's at about 75% of where I'd like it to be and where it was before. And as a result, when I was calling on my body to push hard, it wasn't, my lungs weren't there. They were like, you can't do this right now. And so at least for a month after that, I had to train sensibly. I couldn't do 2-a-days. I had to do some smart things, some tweaking, some light rolling, some light sparring. And thankfully, I'm 100% better now, and I can train harder now than I've ever been able to.
Yeah.
But it did linger for over a month.
Right.
Now, if I had tried to just come straight out of the gate, balls to the wall, the minute I got my negative test and I'm out of quarantine, do 2-a-days and do all the crazy stuff Khamzat Chimaev does, I might have ended up in the same position that Khamzat Chimaev is in right now. So I definitely can understand, having experienced it myself, what he may have done to himself by overtraining.
Yeah, and it's such a real thing. Your body, when you're training twice a day and when you're training like how a fighter does, you have to give it days off. And not saying you have to take an entire day off, but if you're doing 6 days a week of 2-a-days, some of those sessions have to be tailored towards like more of a skill learning type of thing. And you can't just grind, even though a lot of fighters like to do that. They like to go as hard as they possibly can, as many times as they possibly can.
And then unfortunately end up like Diego Sanchez.
Right, yeah. Well, in the gym, that's horrible when you're sparring and stuff. But even when you're just going hard with the weightlifting and stuff like that, your body has a response. And if it's overworked, it will let you know. And if you ignore it, then you get sick and you have to involuntarily take about 6 days off or 5 days off or something, or you won't fully recover. And I think when you have a compromised immune system, which COVID is definitely causing for a lot of people, you have to just relax. And like I said, it's so hard if you're somebody like Khamzat Chimaev. Like you said, he's a tenacious guy. He's a grinder. To pull his oars out of the water completely and stop training and live healthy, and not like just go live like a slob and eat pizzas and burgers and kind of just like be
intentional, but be relaxed at the same time.
Right. You can still eat the right things and go on a walk and do those little things, but you have to just realize this is a marathon, not a sprint, both the healing from the coronavirus and your career, and realize that it's going to pay off in the long run to take more time off and just come back at 100%. And I think what we will see is Hamzat come back about mid-year. I think we're going to see him maybe International Fight Week is when we'll see him. And if he's able to win, it's going to be the same thing as about that time last year. It's going to be all the hype's back. He dealt with a tough bout with coronavirus, beat it, and now he's back again and ready to be active. And I think we might actually see 2021 look very similar to 2020 for him, where he wants to get 3 fights. The UFC wants to get him 3 fights, and he's going to have to start them in July, but he'll be able to get them done before December.
Or maybe that's just his thing. Maybe he'll fight 3 times in 3 weeks and then take a year off.
I mean, he makes enough money to do that. He always gets the fight bonus, and that's an odd approach, but it's definitely something that works for him, clearly.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like you said, he does need to focus on his health right now. Mm-hmm. He has a lot of things going in his favor. I personally don't believe he's cooled off, but no. I know how brutal some of the MMA fans can be at times. And it's definitely a what have you done for me lately industry.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing about Hamzat is he's 26 years old. He's 9-0. Mm-hmm. He's not even had double-digit fights. And every video we do about him without fail, or every video we do about Kamaru Usman without fail, people jump in the comments saying that Hamzat's going to take Kamaru's head off and become the new champion. So I am not saying that is my personal opinion. No. I'm just saying that we get those comments every time we drop a video about Hamzat. So that's what the sort of the temperature of the MMA community. A lot of people out there believe this guy is the next big thing.
Yeah.
And they still believe that, even with this little bit of a layoff. So he's got the fact that he's got age on his side. Mm-hmm. He's taken almost no damage in his fights. He's only 9 fights into his career. And people think that he's the best thing since sliced bread. So he's got he's earned himself a couple of months to focus on his health here without having any steam taken off of him. What I want to kind of shift to is I think the Leon Edwards ship has sailed.
Yeah.
Leon is going to fight Bilal Muhammad now. That's a great fight. If Leon loses that fight, he will never fight Hamzat.
No.
If Leon wins that fight, Leon's going to be pining for a title shot.
Right.
And so who knows what's going to happen. Hamzat is not going to be fighting Leon Edwards next.
No.
And so that I do believe he's going to fight a top 10 opponent next. And so I kind of looked through the list and said, who might he be fighting? Mm-hmm. And in the top 10, as far as I know, and you guys can correct me if we're wrong, if there's any news or updates that have come out, I believe Wonderboy Thompson does not currently have a fight.
Nope.
Michael Chiesa said he hurt his hand in the Neil Magny fight and needed a couple of months to rehab the hand before he can get to sparring and getting into a full training camp again. And Damian Maia, if you recall, that fight was supposed to be made with Hamzat at the end of last year. I don't believe he has a fight either. All 3 of those gentlemen are in the top 10, and I think all 3 pose very unique and very different threats to Hamzat. So of those 3 that I just named, and maybe you can come up with one that I didn't think about, who would you like to see him in there with next?
Well, yeah, I think you're spot on with who the top 3 suspects are.
Yeah.
And I would hate to see Wonderboy. I believe Wonderboy's game. He's even called him out. Not trying to call out a sick guy, but he's even said, like, I'm willing to step in if I need to fight Hamzat any time. And I just don't like that matchup for Wonderboy, and I love Wonderboy. So Damian Maia also has kind of hinted that he's ready for a retirement fight, and I think he's kind of trying to position himself to win his retirement fight.
Yeah,
I think in a perfect world it would happen in Brazil somewhere, and he could do it in front of a Brazilian crowd and win and ride off into the sunset.
The last thing Damian Maia wants to do is get out grappled in Brazil.
Right.
If he were to get out grappled.
If he were to get out grappled, it doesn't look like we're going to go to Brazil anytime soon.
Yeah.
I think losing to Khamzat Chimaev, the next generation, in ridiculous fashion would not be the way Damian Maia wants to go out. So I think you got to call on the guy who is, shown a lot of skill lately, looks really good, is an absolute true test at 170, and is kind of on the same schedule because of the injury that you just talked about with his hand, and Michael Chiesa.
Yep.
Michael Chiesa seems like he's probably the guy, and I don't think for 1 second Michael Chiesa would turn down a fight with Hamzat.
Not
Chimaev.
a chance in the world. I agree 100%. I say get the DJ to cue Stranglehold by Ted Nugent, and let's make that Khamzat Chimaev Michael Chiesa fight, because Khamzat Chimaev has shown that he is a pressure grappler. He takes you down. He beats the hell out of you. Some ridiculous stat like 200 strikes on the ground that went unanswered or what have you. Yeah, I lost count after 100.
Yeah.
But but it's Michael Chiesa, what he just did to Neil Magny, who is a seriously good fighter.
Ridiculous.
Was incredible. He basically flow rolled on Diego Sanchez, which was even more impressive than submitting him. Michael Chiesa is a grappling ace.
Yes.
Michael Chiesa is as good a grappler as is competing in the UFC right now. And I think him against Hamzat, if Hamzat is going to impose his game, which is we saw the Gerald Mears chart, that's not going to happen against Michael Chiesa.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to impose what makes Hamzat, which is the takedown, the hold down, the ground and pound, the advancement of position, etc. And that is a huge, gigantic behemoth if he's able to do that against Michael Chiesa, then we know exactly what we have on our hands. But my goodness, if Michael Chiesa is able to stranglehold Khamzat Chimaev, how big of a star would Chiesa be after that?
He would be a mega star, and he's already, appearing on the UFC post-fight analysis, and looks good in his suit and stuff like that. The mullet in the suit it's this thing. It works. I think that Michael Chiesa is game to do this. I think that Khamzat Chimaev would love a tough opponent like that to prove that he is a top 5 opponent, and I think. It's not Hamzat's fault that the people that he's fought aren't at the level that maybe they thought he was going to be at. Everybody was like,
right.
Okay, Khamzat Chimaev, hot prospect. Let's see how he does with another hot prospect. He bullies him. It's not even competitive. Okay, well, let's give him like a grizzled veteran. Not even, 17 seconds, one punch knockout. Okay, well, this guy is clearly outclassing all of these guys. Let's just jump right into the top 5. Unfortunately, the Leon Edwards thing didn't happen, so we have to kind of just reassess the whole situation and wait until he feels good and 100%. And let's find somebody else. And you kind of look and, Kamaru Usman is the champ, so we're not going to give him immediately. And then we have a few other guys that are a little bit above where Hamzat kind of just naturally falls in the division. But now that Leon's booked up, and I don't think they're going to try that one, like you said, the Tony and Khabib style plague that is kind of around this. It's like a cursed fight.
Certain fights are just cursed like that.
You just leave it alone. Maybe they'll come together again one day, but leave that one alone for right now. I've moved on from it. I'm good. I would like to now you have my attention with Michael Chiesa, Khamzat Chimaev, because if he's able to beat Michael Chiesa, then we've got a real problem at the top of 170, and I guarantee you he gets a title shot after a win over Michael Chiesa. I guarantee that, because Kamaru Usman's beaten everybody at the top 5 of 170 besides Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and Khamzat Chimaev is a rising star. He's rising faster than almost anybody the sport's ever seen.
He's rivaling Conor McGregor as far as meteoric rise goes right now.
And a win over Michael Chiesa would just absolutely catapult him into even bigger stardom than he's seeing right now. I personally think that Usman and Chimaev would be an amazing fight if that happened, but he's got to get past some of these top guys, and Michael Chiesa is the perfect opponent for him.
I agree 100%. Guys, we laid it out for you. We don't think Hamzat's cooling off just yet. We think he gets a well-deserved couple of months to rehab and recover, and we wish him the best, certainly. We both personally think Michael Chiesa is the best person to welcome him back to the UFC. Who do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. We always enjoy engaging with you guys there. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And check us out on audio where you listen to podcasts. Until the next one, guys, have a great day.
Peace.